Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel SK Tech. Today we are going to discuss some of the important concepts as part of the method in Java. So first topic that we want to discuss here is like this keyword. So this is a keyword that refer to the object of the current class where it is used. So in the other word, this refer to the object of the present class. Generally we write the instance variable, constructor and method, right? All these members are referenced by this. So when an object is created to the class, by default reference is also created internally to the object, so as shown in the picture. So this default reference is nothing but this keyword only. So this can be referred to all the things of the present inside the object. So let's go to the IntelliJ IDE and understand what are the uses of this and how we can use it. So let's say we have created simple class and we have one instance variable, let's say x, and let's say we have some constructor, so let's say default constructor as this, and let's say we have another constructor that is called parameterized constructor, so something like int x, that's it. So first use of the this keyword is like we can use it to differentiate between the instance variable of the class and the local variable inside the constructor or the method. So as we have discussed, this is referring to the instance of this class. So how we can use that one here inside the constructor is like this equal to x. So here this dot x is referring to the instance variable of this class and this x is nothing but the local variable. So if the variable name is same for both the local variable and the instance variable, we can use this keyword to differentiate it. Another use of this keyword is right to call this parameterized constructor inside some other constructor. So let's say we have a default constructor simple and we want to call this default parameterized constructor. So how we can use it? We can use simply like this, and then we can provide any value, let's say 55. So here this is going to call this parameterized constructor because this is referring to the instance of this class. So basically it will be treated like it is going to call this parameterized constructor. Another use of this keyword is like we can use this keyword to call the method of the current class. So let's say we have a method called access and we have some statement, let's say inside, let's say some print statement only, x tends to plus x. So if we want to call this method, basically what we need to do, we need to create the instance of the class and then call it. So instead of that, if we want to call this method inside the class only, so we can use this keyword to call this method. So how we can do it? Let's say we are calling that method inside this default constructor only. So how we can use this dot access. So this is the another use of this keyword to call the instance method of the class. This can be also used to return the current class instance from the method also. So first of all, let's test this functionality that we have used. Is it working or not? Let's go to the demo class and create some instance of the class. So simple as equal to new simple. So just writing this statement, what it is going to do, it is going to create the instance of the class and also it is going to call the default constructor, right? So what will happen when we call it the default constructor? We are calling the parameterized constructor, and using this parameterized constructor, we are passing this value basically to initialize the instance variable. So this x value will become 50, and then again using this keyword we are calling the method of the class. So the method of the class functionality is what? It is like printing the variable. So when we run this program simply, it will go to the default constructor, it will initialize the value using this parameterized constructor, and then it will print it using this method. So let's see the output. Yeah, so we can see it is printing like x equal to, I mean x colon 55. That's what we have written here inside the method. So you see that this using this keyword we have differentiated between the instance variable and the local variable, and also we call the instance method using this keyword only, and also we have called the parameterized constructor. So this is something, some basic concept about this. Let's see what are the next topic that we want to discuss. That is the instance method that we have already seen in our previous video. I have already shared the video link in this video also. Just do check out. Next topic that we want to discuss is like we want to create the method and we want to pass the different types of the parameter. So let's see what are the different types parameter we can pass and what is the impact. So first things we want to discuss is like primitive data types to method. So what will happen? Primitive data types or the fundamental data types represent a single entity or a single value. For example, let's say primitive data type is like character, byte, short, int, long, float, double, and booleans are called primitive data types, right? Because they store single value. So they are passed to the method by value only. This means when we pass the primitive data type to the method, copy of those will be passed to the method. Therefore, any changes made to them inside the method will not reflect them outside of the method. So what we are trying to say is, let's say we have a method called swipe, and using this swipe, let's say we have two argument, we want to interchange it. So what are the steps that to take in place? First is like we need to create the temporary variable, then we will preserve the copy of the number one into the temporary variable, then inside this number two we will store the number one, and then again store the previous copy of the number one from the temp value, right? So this is how we can perform the swipe. So let's go to the IntelliJ IDE and perform this task, and let's see if we pass the primitive data types and if we change anything. Let's say we are going to change the interchange between those two numbers, so it is affecting outside of the method or not. So let's create simply here one simple class like check, and here we are going to define the functionality of the swipe. So what we can do, we can write something like swipe, and then here we are expecting, let's say, two argument num1 num2, and using third variable we can simply write the logic to swipe it. So how we can do it, let's create temporary variable and let's assign the number one here, and inside the number one we can assign number two, and again the number two value become this temporary variable. So this is the simple logic to swap this two number using the third variable. We call this method inside the some other class and we will pass two value, and before passing, before doing the swipe operation inside the method, and after, what is the value it is printing. So let's create like simple class like primitive, and let's create one main method here. So let's say we have a two instance variable and number 2 having 20, okay, and let's print it before calling to the swipe method. So how we can print it, simply we'll print like number 2. So this is like before calling, okay, and let's call that swipe method. So let's first create the instance of that class, so that is check is equal to new check, right? And then let's call that method here using the instance variable and pass this number 1 and number 2, and then let's print this again, that is after calling. So what we are doing here is like we have two number, let's say number 1 and number 2, and then we are printing this value, then we are calling this swipe method, the functionality of the swipe method to interchange from number 1 to number 2, right? And then after that we are printing again those number. So what we are expecting here, like here it will print 10 and 20, but here it will print 20 and 10, right? But if you run this program you will see some different outputs. Yeah, so if you can see before and after both times it is printed 10 and 20, it means that it is not interchanged, right? So from the main method, when we pass 10 and 20 to swipe method, inside this method they are interchanged, but when we come out of the method again we find that previous value, means they are not interchanged. So when we send the primitive data type inside the method like character, float, or any primitive data type to the method, copy of their value will be sent to the method. So any modification to them inside the method will not affect the original copy. So this is also called as pass by value or call by value. Okay. So let's see what are the next things that we want to discuss. Let's see passing the object to the method. Right. So we can also pass the class object to the method and return the object from the method. Something like this. Let's say we have an employee. We are passing some statement, some object types, and doing some operation, and again we are returning as a some object type only. So let's see in this case scenario what is going to happen. Or let's write some same swipe method only, and this time instead of the empty data type we are going to write logic like pass the object types. So let's go to the IntelliJ IDE and let's create a simple separate class. Basically, let's say we have a class called employee, and here let's say we have a some primitive data type like int id. Let's say we have a simple constructor employee, and here we have int id. So we have seen how to differentiate between this instance variable and the local variable if the variable name is same, we using this keyword, right, like this. And let's say we have that class check method, right? So here we have used the implementation to swipe the number of primitive data type. Let's comment this part and rewrite the method again to swipe this to object type, something like. So similar to the primitive data type, instead of integer we can write something like this: object 1 and then object 2 instead of the number 2. So this is the logic that we have written here to swipe these two object. Okay, so let's go to the this method. So just forget about the name, we just going to call the other methods. So instead of this, let's create two or let's comment this part. Basically, let's create two employee object. So how we can do it? Employee, let's say e1 equal to new employee, and we can pass the value, let's say 10. Then again employee e2 equal to new employee, let's say 20. And similar to the primitive data type, let's print it. So how we can do it? Just copy paste this part again and we can do it. So first we have created the object of the check class, then we are printing it. So instead of number 1 it should be e1 e2, and call this method e1 e2 and again e1 e2. So instead of calling or printing these two object, let's call this their instance variable. Otherwise it is going to print some hash code value, right? id e2 dot id, right? So if you run this program again, let's see what is the behavior in case of the object swiping or object passing as an argument inside the method. So if you can see here, what is the output here? It is printing like 10 20 10 20. It means that what is happening here basically, so some authors have written out of confusion that primitive data types are passed to the method by value and objects are passed to the method by reference. This confusion primitively is concept of pass by reference in Java, where the memory address pointer of the variable is passed to the method. But since Java does not support creation and use of pointer, there is no question of passing memory address. So pass by reference is not valid in Java. So if you can see here, now we are passing the reference variable. So it means that any changes to this reference variable, it should affect it after also, right? So if we printing this one, it should print like updated value. But if you see the output, it is printing like same value. It means that Java is not passed by reference, it is a pass by value, because when we call this method, it is passing the copy of the value, and what are the modification happening inside the swipe method, it is not affecting to the outside of the variable, similar to the primitive data type. So now let's discuss the third topic that we want to discuss. What happens if we pass the array to the method? Just like the objects are passed to the method, it is also possible to pass the array to the method and return the array from the method. So in this case, array name should be understood as an object reference. For example, let's say int array my method and then some argument as an int array. So if you can see here in the first case, what we are doing in the first case, we can pass a one dimensional array to the my method, and we can also the return one dimensional array. And in the second case, let's say we are passing the two-dimensional array and we are returning also the two-dimensional array, right? So let's say we want to find sum of the two matrix. We should take the 2D array of the integer type which represent the two matrix, and then we add them and get the another 2D array of a type which represent the sum matrix. So this sum matrix is finally displayed. So we would want to perform this operation by some steps. Let's say we are accepting array matrix element from the keyword by using the get matrix method. Then again we create the accept second matrix element from the keyword. This for this also same get matrix method we are going to use, and then add the two matrix by using some method called find sum, and finally display the sum matrix by using the display method. So let's go to the IntelliJ IDE and write some simple logic for this. So let's give the name as matrix. So let's see, we are going to understand we can pass the array as an argument in the method, and also we can return the array as a return type. So first of all, let's write some steps what that we are going to perform. So take 2D array for matrix and row and columns, because matrix can contain row and columns, right? So let's write some array like array of 2D two-dimensional array, and let's create two variable like row, one is for column, and then we are going to write, or let's say we are going to initialize the initial value of this matrix class. So initialize, how we can do it? Let's create the simple constructor. If we want to initialize with some default value, so what we can do, we can create something like some constructor like int row and int column, and here we can difference, we can use like this r equal to r, this column equal to column. So using this parameterized constructor, we are going to initialize this value of the row and column. Then we are going to write the method like get matrix. So how we can write it? We will write something like int two-dimensional array get matrix, and then we are going to read the data from the keyboard. So let's see how we can do. So as we have already discussed in one of the video how to read the data from the keyword using some buffer reader. So let's write some buffer reader br equal to new buffer reader, inside that new input stream reader, and here we need to provide as system dot in. So to read to take the data from the keyboard, first of all we need to use like some tokenizer, since we are using the buffer reader. So let's write something string tokenizer st, and as you know, if you want to take the data from the keyword as a array, so we need to use the loop. So how we can do it? Let's go to write some loop. Using loop only we can take the data from the keyword for the array. So let's minimize this and see proper format. So let's write I equal to 0, I is less than row, and then I plus plus. It will come inside and will accept the data from the keyword like s equal to br dot, let's say read line, and then st equal to new string tokenizer using that variable and the tokenizer. So variable name is s, and let's say tokenizer we have provided like space. Basically it is throwing some exception, so let's throw to the method signature itself tokenizer, and after that let's store the value. So let's write some another loop, since we want to take the input as a two-dimensional array. So basically we need to use two loop. So let's say j I, and j is less than, let's say column, and then j plus plus, and inside that we need to write something like array of I j, and then we need to pass, as we are using the buffer reader, so parse int type st dot next token. So this we have already seen in one of the video. So if you want to do check out my previous video where we have discussed array, and we have discussed two-dimensional array, three-dimensional array, how to take the data from the keyword also. So just remember that if you want to take the data as a 2D array, so we should use the two loop. One is for row, one is for column. So in this way we can take the data from the keyword in the 2D dimensional array. So first of all, what it is expecting is expecting to return this one. Now let's create some another method that is going to do the summation of this two-dimensional array and going to return as a two-dimensional array only. So return type is like two-dimensional array, then some method name, let's say find sum. So it is expecting like two things. First thing is like one two-dimensional array and another two-dimensional array. So let's say a and int then b. So here we are going to perform the addition. So how we can do it perform the addition? So let's create one temporary array that is also going to be two-dimensional array only. New and let's say int, and here we have to provide the value. So what value here we can provide it? Basically we can provide like row and column, row and column that we have already stored in one of the variable, right? And then we are going to perform the addition. So again, to perform the addition we have to use two for loop because we are using two-dimensional array. So two loop, like let's copy this two loop only, then we will modify. So what we need to do here, we need to take the two-dimensional array, and inside that we need to perform the operation and store into the temporary array. So how we can do it? We can write something like temporary array I of j value will become a of I jth value plus b of I and j value. So basically it is going to take one by one and it is going to store inside this temporary array, and then we are going to return this temporary array. So let's say temp. So in this way we are expecting 2D array, and then we are performing the addition of this 2D array, and then we are returning it. So this is another method. And now the last method that we are going to write is like display. So again, to take the input in a 2D array or perform some operation in the 2D array or to display it, we need to use two for loop. So again we are going to use the two for loop. So let's copy these two things and write something like display. So let's say void display matrix, and then how we can do it? So let's say we have a value. So using this find sum we will be getting the one dimensional two-dimensional array, right? So that is only we are going to pass it here. Let's say we have something result two-dimensional array, and then we will simply iterate it. So how we can do it? So here we can write some logic. So this two for loop will be same, but only the printing statement would be different. Let's say sys out, and here we are going to write print and then result of I and j, and let's say after printing the each value we are going to provide like some type space so that it is going to display in a formatted way, right? And after each iteration we want to put it into the next line. So to print the next line we simply print like system.out.println, right? So here what we have done, we have created one parameterized constructor to store the value of the row and column. Then we have created get matrix to get the data from the keyboard and store it. And then after that we have created find method that is again expecting two-dimensional array, doing the operation and then returning it. Third method that we have created as take the resultant of this two-dimensional array and print it. So here we have created methods that is expecting as a array types and also it is returning it. So let's test this. So let's go and create a simple class like matrix test or matrix sum, and we are going to test it. So how we can do it? Let's create first main method. Inside the main method let's create two matrix object. Let's say obj. Let's say one matrix is like 3 3, and then again we are going to create another matrix like obj 2 equal to new matrix 3 cross 3, 3 row 3 column. Now let's take three differences for two-dimensional array so that we will see what is the use. So first we'll create x let's say x two-dimensional array, then y two-dimensional array, and then z two-dimensional array. So what we are going to do, first we are going to print some statement to get the data from the keyboard. So let's say we are printing like slash n for new line, basically to make it proper. Enter elements for first matrix. Similarly, enter matrix for second matrix. So here what we are going to do, we are going to write something like x equal to obj1 dot get matrix. Okay, and similarly, so basically it is throwing some exception. So let's throw this exception in the header of the method. Okay, and then what we will do, so here let's say we have taken the first matrix in the x and second matrix in the y, and we are going to perform the addition of that number and going to store in the third matrix. Let's say z equal to, so this would be object 2, and here we are going to do call the method as, let's say, any object. So object 1 dot find sum, and we are going to provide these two matrix that we have get from the keyboard, right? And then we are going to basically print it. So let's write some statement like slash n, the sum matrix is, how we can get the sum matrix. Again, let's create a, let's use any object because that is the same object, that is the same class object. So object dot display matrix, and then provide the resultant. So the resultant we are showing the jet, so this is going to display, right? So let's run this program and see the output. Yeah, if you can see, it is asking enter element for first matrix. Let's enter the matrix. Let's say 1 2 3, that is in the first row, 4 5 6, that is in second row, and 7 8 9, third row. Now it is asking enter element for second matrix. So let's write like 1 1 and 1, and in the second row 2 2 and 3, and in the third row let's write like 0 0 and let's say some negative value also. So you see, it is showing like addition of these two matrix. Let's zoom it and see the output. So it is printing like 1 1 plus 2, 1 2 and 1 is 3, 3 and 1 is 4. Now again in the second row, 4 2 6, 5 to 7, 6 plus 3 is 9, and now it is 7 plus 0, 7 only, 8 plus 0, I mean 8 only, 9 minus 2, it is 7. So this is how it is printing like summation of two matrix. So here we have seen, we take the matrix as a two-dimensional type of the array, and this program assume like 3 cross 3, 3 cross 3 matrix, but the same logic can be applied to add m cross n matrix, means any number of the matrix to the any number of the matrix. So that's all for today's video. In next upcoming video, we are going to discuss about some of the important topics like recursion and factory method. So stay tuned, we'll meet you soon.